In this video, we are going to learn the summary of Tight Corners written by Edward Will Lucas. To be in a tight corner means to be in a difficult situation, physically or mentally. A person in a tight corner thinks of different ways of escaping and struggles hard. A physical tight corner refers to a dangerous situation, such as being caught in a tide, charged by a wounded tiger, wrapped up with a fire in the building, or being attacked in a war. Mental tight corner refers to a difficult financial situation or some other problem. In the humorous essay, Tight Corners, E.B. Lucas points out that tight corners can be both mental as well as physical, but the mental tight corners are too difficult to bear. Edward Verrall Lucas was born on 11th June 1868. He was an English humorist, essayist, playwright, biographer, publisher, poet, novelist, short story writer, and editor. Born to a Quaker's family on the fringes of London, Lucas began work at the age of 16, apprenticed to a bookseller. After that, he turned to journalism and worked on local paper in Brighton and then on a London evening paper. He was commissioned to write a biography of Bernard Burton, the Quaker poet. This led to further commissions, including the editing of the works of Charles Lamb. Lucas joined the staff of the humorous magazine Punch in 1904 and remained there for the rest of his life. He was a prolific writer, most celebrated for his short essays, but he also produced verses, novels, and plays. Some of his famous works are Face on the Wall, A Wanderer in Florence, The Open Road, The Life of Charles Lamb, What a Life, A Little of Everything, and The Slow Coach. Lucas died in a nursing home in Marylebone, London at the age of 70. The lesson Tight Corners portrays the need for wisdom to tackle things when in a crisis, and learn that rash and hasty act will only result in folly, adding misery and woe to one indulging in thoughtless action. The lesson is all about what happened to the author in an auction house and how he was rescued from humiliation by a sudden stroke of luck. Once the narrator met one of his old friends and had lunch at a club in St. James Street and passing along King Street afterwards. His friend persuaded him to look in at Christie's, an art gallery, and an auction sales hall. The place was full. They were selling Barbizon pictures for large sum of money and were getting 2,000 or 3,000 pounds even for small pictures. The pictures were on forest scenes, pools at evening, shepherdesses, and the regular subjects. The narrator had neither knowledge about art pictures nor had enough money to participate in the bidding, but he started to bid just for fun. He had only 63 pounds in his bank account. He did not have enough securities to borrow even 500 pounds. His friend had advised him against bidding, but the narrator was confident that somebody would overbid him and he could escape. And so it happened for some time. The auction started, and the narrator, not understanding the seriousness, started raising the bid amount marginally. But that time, a Domini picture was put on for sale. When a new picture was put up, a short, red-faced man in a new top hat bid 4,000 guineas for it. As usual, the narrator, just for fun, raised the bid by 50 guineas more. When the narrator offered 50 more, a terrible silence followed. The narrator thought that someone would raise the bid further, but to his surprise, nobody else bid after that. The auctioneer looked at the first bidder and survived the whole gathering. The first bidder was silent. This came as a shock to the narrator. As no one continued the process, auctioneer said, "The picture is sold," and the hammer fell. The falling of hammer indicated that the picture was sold. Without any doubt, the narrator unwittingly got into a tight corner. He could not find ways as how to raise such a huge amount. Sensing the impending danger, his friend had already left the place. He had found a remote place and started laughing uncontrollably. Finding him all alone, the narrator was recollecting the names of his uncles and other persons for borrowing money. He also thought of some moneylenders. He felt his heart stopped and blood congealed. He even thought of dying, and he was ready to welcome a firing party. Picture after picture was put up and sold, but the narrator saw none of them. Then he thought that the best way was to confess his real financial condition to the staff of Christie and requesting the picture to be auctioned again. Finally, he decided to confess his foolishness to the auctioneer himself and get rid of the critical situation. Intermittently, luck favored someone. In this case, the narrator is favored by the luck. All of a sudden, the unexpected incident happened. At that time of critical condition, a rich bidder's agent approached the narrator and offered 50 guineas, provided he passed on the art picture to the bidder. The narrator was immensely relieved. He was about to weep in joy. Yet he had the presence of mind to demand 100 guineas. When a check for that amount was given to him, then his joy doubled. Later on, he came to know that it was his friend who went to the first red-faced bidder in order to save the narrator. He talked to the man and convinced him to get the picture from the narrator by offering 50 guineas. The narrator told that he would not forget two things in his life. The first thing is, it is his friend who took him to the auction house. The second thing is, it is he again who met the red-faced man and convinced him to buy the picture from the narrator. With heart full of laughter, he mentioned that it was indelibly branded in letters of fire on his heart.